Hi Chris, can you hear me?
Hi. I certainly can, Mark. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
I can indeed, perfectly. So how are you?
You sound as if you're from Scotland.
I'm actually from Northern Ireland.
Oh, even closer to where I am. I'm grand, thank you. I'm here in the beautiful Wicklow Hills of Enniskerry, and looking forward very much to getting back to Canada. And kind of my second home, in that part of the world. I've been there so many times in the past, and I love it.
Did you manage to catch the football last night?
I certainly did. Are you a Liverpool supporter?
I am indeed, look.
Let me show you something. Hold on a second, I want to show you something here. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky, and the sweet silver song of a lark.
Oh, very nice indeed.
Yeah, that's a good start. And I got something else here that was organised for me by the CEO of the company. Where are we here? Standard Chartered.
Wow, you'll have to get that framed.
I sure will, Mark. And also, I've been a lifelong Liverpool supporter, and my younger son, Michael, who's just turned 30, he works for Liverpool Football Club in London as a small group of people getting worldwide sponsorship. So he gets to, well, not in the last year and a half, but
Yeah.
he gets to go to a lot of the games. He's travelled all over with the team. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me really jealous.
Right, back to music. In 2010, you released Moonfleet, where you crafted a musical interpretation of an existing story. I just wondered if the creative process for that actually helped you in doing the new album, The Legend of Robin Hood.
Very much. In fact, what I learned from that one is that, several things. Putting together a full story is a real challenge, and I had lots of kind of things, big sheets of paper with this happens, then that happens, and this refers to that, and so on. Like writing a novel, maybe you're making a movie, because that's what they are in my mind, they're movies. With Moonfleet, it also gave me the opportunity to get away from the usual 10 songs on an album. People got bored. I think I read an extraordinary thing where people who buy CDs back in the day would listen to maybe the first 4 tracks and then kind of dribble away. People who made CDs made the first 4 tracks strong, but for me, I thought that was a bit of an insult because I like to build an album.
Yeah.
And I go back to the days of vinyl where you had 20, 22, 23 minutes per side to create a dynamic difference. And I would write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the songs, and then numbers out of 10, the strength of the song. So number 1 and number 5 would have to be 10 out of 10. And then you drop it slightly, 9 for the second song, then maybe 6 for the third. The fourth one would be completely different. Like on my album Into the Light, number 4 was Lady in Red. And that wouldn't have happened on the CD. You would have had to put that right at the top somewhere.
Yeah.
But then the last track was very strong, and then you had a chance to turn the vinyl over. So coming back to Moonfleet, I read this book when I was a child, and many times subsequently. I just thought it was a cracking story about smugglers and hidden treasure and the ghost of Blackbeard. And it was very good for me because not only did I love the story, but I could actually refer to the story whenever I had a struggle with a lyric or a piece that I wanted to move on. And we used the device there in that album of using a narrator.
Yeah.
Originally, I wanted to get a celebrity narrator, but in fact, the best voice was my own producer, my co-producer for 10 albums now, Chris Porter, who had the perfect voice for it. And so that advanced the story, and it's amazing, Mark, how in just 30 seconds you can get a huge amount of a story advanced that in a lyric is much more difficult. So basically, lyrics condense the story. So with The Legend of Robin Hood, I didn't want to go back to the narration thing again, so I had the device of imagining that there's a group of people in the 18th century, say, in a pub, and they're sitting on straw bales and they've got tankards of beer, and a group of people go up onto the stage and basically tell the story of Robin Hood. And during the album, it constantly goes back to that group of people, and then we have the advancing of the story. So yes, in answer to your question, the Moonfleet experience was extremely helpful, with one huge difference: I didn't have a story to refer to. So I had to, along with the reason I wrote the album was because I wrote a musical, which was supposed to have its premiere last year in Germany, and then this year, and then next year it will be, God willing. And I had written 8 songs for that, plus I was highly involved with the storyline with 2 or 3 other writers. And it came to me that I thought, well, why not expand my own idea and write an entire album? But my story differs slightly to the musical story about who does what and how poor Robin Hood meets his end and stuff. In the musical, I think he's poisoned, but I'm not quite sure what they've decided on. But in my one, there's this duel that I thought was a bit more dramatic. So I didn't have a story to refer to, so that was an additional problem. But during the lockdown, I decided to cover that particular area by writing the story myself. So I've written a long-form story, which is now available on audio, on Amazon, Spotify, all those people. So I recorded it myself with Chris Porter behind the controls. So I narrated the story, and I had the opportunity to put on silly voices. Well, not silly voices, but voices of some of the characters. So and then we had music, like at the beginning of each chapter. There's, I think, 9 chapters. And for those people who've heard it, it's a huge bonus to help them understand the full story that's actually on the record.
Yeah. How do you see this album transferring onto a live stage? I read that you have plans to perform it in its entirety.
Yeah. Well, the live stage is going to happen. I mean, we all know what this pandemic has done to us.
Yeah.
And how cancellation... I've got to the point where disappointment's just a part of life.
Yeah.
I suppose in my business it's always been pretty endemic, but with disappointment, you don't... I think that's actually a serious problem for humanity over the last year and a half, is we've got so used to planning ahead. And it's like almost every day saying to your children, tomorrow we're going to the zoo, we're going to have ice cream, we're going to see tigers and lions and giraffes. And then the next morning, no, can't go, zoo's closed. I mean, it's just one after the other.
Yeah.
So we've become inured to that. But with the live... I mean, I have a list of dates here, which is very exciting for Canada, including Toronto, where are we going to be? Meridian Hall, formerly the Sony Centre, which is on 30th of April, preceded by London and St. Catharines. These places I've been to many times and I've really enjoyed performing there. So, in answer to your question, I think what I might consider doing is combining songs from Moonfleet. See, we did a tour a year before last, which we never got a chance to bring to Canada, which was the first half was the whole Moonfleet story, and the second half was Into the Light, one of my more successful albums, plus a bunch of other hits like Don't Play the Ferryman and so on. And this time, because we didn't have a chance to do the Moonfleet, what I might do is combine the two, not musically obviously, but have the same thing I spoke about right at the beginning, which is the idea of a tavern. So you can still tell the same story in the same kind of format, and inviting the audience to be participants in this particular thing.
Yeah. What about? I mean, do you see yourself as doing the narrator role? Or do you see yourself having other actors maybe playing different parts, or are you just going to be you and a band performing the album?
A band are terrified they're going to make them wear tights. I said, okay, no tights. No, I think a lot depends on imagination. I've always have very strong imagination, and I encourage people through the stories and the music to use their own imaginations. I mean, I don't know if do you have any children, Mark?
I do, yeah. 2 boys, 21 and 26.
Okay, they're getting on. But when they were little, it's great when you tell children a story. They don't actually look at you or me telling the story. They kind of stare into space because they're visualizing the action.
Yeah.
And that's what I would like the audience to do, to be able to, along with the colors that we're going to be on stage and the music, and hopefully by then some people will have heard the record. So I've always been wary of turning up with a brand new album, as some acts do, and playing the whole album. And you're sitting in the audience getting restless, saying, I have no idea what the fuck this is all about. So what you want to do is make sure that they understand a little bit of what's going on. And I will talk about it, between songs, not every song, but I will say, and in the next piece we go to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It must be a constant dilemma for you. Obviously you've got a huge back catalogue of hits and stuff, but at the same time you want to be promoting what you're doing now to get that balance in terms of a set list.
Yeah, that's part of it. I'm okay, I do have a commercial side of my head, but I'm also, after all these years of being a performer, I got to the point where I just want to do a damn good show.
Yeah.
And in a way, with Canada in particular, I've been going there since probably before you were born. I've been going there since 1976, when the Spanish Train and Other Stories album became very big. And first of all, solo, and then, with my own band. I did a few shows with Supertramp. But it's been a way of me saying, for those, I don't know how many cross-Canadian tours I've done, maybe 20, 25, from Newfoundland across to Vancouver, and everywhere in between. I mean, I've been to, Christ's sake, I've been to Moose Jaw, and I've been to Thunder Bay, and all those odd spots between. So this is my way of saying thanks to the fans. And Toronto is a very good example of that. When I perform, which I've done in the Gardens in the past, I've done Massey Hall. There's another place on King Street, going towards the beaches. There's a theatre there called the Hummingbird, I think it's called, the Hummingbird, yep. So that would be an example of when the audience come, when I walk on the stage, I get this greeting, which is spine-chilling, and the same thing in Montreal and Quebec and so on.
I find listening to a lot of your songs over the years, they always exude a sense of positivity and celebration. But is it difficult for you personally to remain upbeat and positive in a dark and cruel world that we live in currently?
No, I've always been a positive person. I've seen the dark side and the gloomy side, hasn't everybody? But I'm an entertainer, and I find it very strange that so many artists now, current young songwriters, are writing about the misery that they're going through. And I've been trying to get my head around that. I mean, why is that entertainment? Maybe it's because people are going through their own miserable lives, and they like to think that a celebrated person, a celebrity, is also having a rough time. But for me, if I want to have a rough time, I don't listen to these guys moaning about the breakup of their marriage or whatever. If I just watch television, that's bad enough.
Yeah.
So I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I want to cheer people up and make them imagine,
Yeah. How do you explain your longevity in the face of an ever-changing and fickle business like the music industry?
Damn right there. Oh, I don't know. It's got to do, I think, a number of things. Obviously, good health. My voice is in great shape. I mean, I'm hitting notes on this record, which I've done like since the early 80s. I can still do that. For example, when I get to the line "Light a Fire," which is in a C, full voice, "Light a fire," I can do that. Obviously I have to work up to it, but and I do another song. Well, during my shows, I do lots of songs in the same key. "Don't Pay the Fare" being one of them, "High in the Motion." But a song called "Borderline," which is in the key of F, which I recorded in 1982, and I can still hit those notes full voice. So that's the first part. Good health, obviously. But I think the critical thing is having an audience out there who actually want to see what you're doing and hear what you're doing. And I'm very fortunate that, well, only just in Canada, but there are a number of places, pockets in the States, I have to say, but the UK and Germany is a very strong country for me. Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Scandinavia, South Africa. So I don't know, just I count myself very fortunate.
Yeah. What did you say? Is it easier or more difficult for a musician to survive these days in 2021 compared to when you first started?
Completely different. I mean, you and I know that the business has changed utterly.
Yeah.
A number of reasons for that. I think the coming of digital information and the ability to pirate digital information and pass it on, irrespective of whether you paid for it or not, it's part of it. I think recording now, it's incredible. When I started making records, there was an SSL desk which cost $500,000, huge machine, with all those. It can all be done on what I'm talking to you on now.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. So it's kind of diminished in a way. This may sound like boring old fart talking, but I think it's diminished the actual skill of songwriting, because anybody can sit at home now and come up with a few songs and bash out something on a computer and make it sound good. But I'm interested in longevity, and I'm interested in making songs that do last the time. I was just reading comments about Paul McCartney recently about some of the lyrics he wrote in the past, and we're talking strong melodies there. I even had the opportunity to meet him once, and of course I nearly fell over because he's my hero. But the business has changed. It's kind of, it was like, I don't know how to describe it. Imagine a key, not a keystone, a souffle, okay. Imagine a souffle, souffles. It's like that. And then kind of starts dropping and going sideways. And I think the whole music business, entertainment business, now we're talking about people spending money on gaming, and there's millions of things now you can do with your entertainment dollar.
Yeah. You've achieved many things, many goals in your career, but do you still have hopes and dreams and ambitions?
I know it sounds trite, but my ambition is to wake up every morning alive and enjoy my life. And I am now very fortunate to have 3 grandchildren. I don't know if you know the story over there in Canada. My daughter was 19 when she won this competition called Miss World. It's like Miss Universe. And completely out of the blue, there was nothing. We as a family were not interested in those kind of things, but this is a life-changing thing for her. And subsequently, when she got married, 2015, after a couple of years, quite naturally, she wanted to start a family, and then went through the horror, the trauma of having not one miscarriage, but 15, one after the other. For a woman, having one miscarriage is devastating.
Yeah.
15, I don't know how she did. And she just kept going, and then was told by doctors, you have no chance of ever having your own children. After every single possible route was examined, IVF, surgery, you name it. And so they went the surrogacy route, which was in itself very difficult and very time-consuming and scary. But with their own biological child, they have a lovely little girl who's going to be 2 next month. And then, nobody knows why, even the doctors are confused. But in March and April last year, she called me and said, guess what, Dad, I've just come back from a scan. And I'm hoping it's not going to be another disaster. She's been through so much already.
Yeah, sure.
And then she said, no, they've detected a heartbeat, Dad, and not just 1, 2 heartbeats,
Wow.
and identical twins. And she gave birth to identical twins in November last year, and they're called Hugo and Oscar, and they are gorgeous. And how this happened, nobody knows, but there you go.
Yeah. Just the final one, because my time's nearly up. I'm sure you've done many interviews over the years. If the roles were reversed, who would you like to interview? Maybe somebody that's personally inspired you in your life. Maybe not even a musician.
Okay, that's an interesting question. Maybe I should have thought about that before. But in terms of music,
yeah,
I mean, this is an area I understand. Now, I'm not a particularly good musician. It works. There's a lot of much better guitar players and piano players out there and all that. But whatever it does, it works for me. And people sometimes say to me, maybe in the same business, how on earth did you come up with a song like Lady in Red or Spanish Train or something? And I actually don't know. It just comes. And I listen to Elton John, for example, and I listen to he's never written a lyric in his life, as far as I know. He gets sent these wonderful lyrics, and I can hear the skill of him as a melody writer. the way he does it and the way he sings, which is very interesting, actually. If you listen to something like, sorry seems to be the hardest word, he comes into a note and expands it. What do I gotta do to make you love me? And that kind of thing, that is a style that works for him. Sting is another example, a guy I know used to be with his same label, I think, where he does a repetitive thing, which is fascinating. You remember me, da 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 da, upon the fields of Arden. But the one person I would like to talk to, who I actually nearly met because he sat on the airplane seat right in front of me, and I sent a message to his bodyguard, with my respect, is Stevie Wonder, because I don't get that. I do not get how a man, forget the blindness thing, but how a man can have all these incredible skills in one head and fingers. I went to see a show, and he started by playing this thing around Superstition. Wow, I mean, blew me away. And so I'd like to talk to him and say, well, where does this come from?
Yeah. Chris, that's been brilliant. Thank you very much for chatting. Good luck with the album, and hopefully we'll get to see you back on tour in the UK soon.
I hope so.
Brilliant.
Very nice to talk to you. And where are you, by the way?
I'm now living in Manchester, but obviously I've still got my Northern Ireland accent.
Okay, so I was told that you're actually in Toronto, but you're probably not.
No.
Or you write for the Spill magazine.
Correct. That's correct.
That's funny. Well, let's go back just briefly back to Manchester. And for some reason I thought I was talking to somebody in Canada.
It's all right.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, the UK has always been high on my list. Obviously, I've played all over, and Manchester has been one of them. I once played what's that big place that they recently had the Conservative Party conference?
Yeah.
GMX, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I played that a few times. And but we will be back again in the autumn of next year to do the shows. So
brilliant.
I really hope that the people will come and see that. You know, COVID hopefully will be behind us.
Yeah. Thank you very much again for chatting to me.
All right, Mark, it's been a pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.